Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and today we're starting with Saturnastra Lamina. And this chapter 1, your cemetery. Like, this book is written in U format, which is a little weird, but you'll get it in a second. Or not. You wake up early one cold summer evening, and it is a bit unusual for there to be cold weather during this time of year. On a whole, the Guardian Master Ortiza provides a fair weather to this part of the country all year round. You scan your surroundings with an eye of suspicion. Just as you suspected, there are marauders invading your cemetery. Every day at the same hour, the priests of Arasas try to enter this heretical cemetery to offer a proper burial ritus for those inhabiting it. Even after scaring them hundreds of times, they come back anew, and they have blind faith that their God alone will shield them from your talents. And you do not share this burden alone, and beside you rests a decrepit statue. The statue has quite a lifelike feel to it, and it's almost as if it will move at any second. Its colors are now faded, and it has a brownish tint to it, and it bears the semblance of a Sphynx, which is odd as far as you are concerned. And unlike classical Sphynx, it has a leopard body, and the top half is that of a little girl, and its wings are also quite petite. If it were alive, you doubt it would be able to fly at all. And it has been more than a week since you separated from your family, and after wandering about aimlessly, you settled down to dream a new dream. And you never told this to anyone, but you have the bad habit of taking dreams in earnest, even when they rarely provide you any useful information. Your first dream in this new world was unlike the others, and this one did have substance, and you remember it so vividly. In your dreams you were walking through a field of violet flowers, and a strange snake-like creature was whimsically singing along, which made your eyes grow heavy, and inside the dream you wonder about the silliness of falling asleep within a dream, and a strange pain behind your neck forces your eyes to open, and you lower the hood of your pale white rose, and you yank it around to check for bloodstains. And when you saw that it is clean, you bothered to notice a strange creature standing before you. And it was the child-like leopard Sphynx. And then she said, I am one of the many Sphinxes tasked with protecting the sleep of children, and I was brought to this foreign land many years ago, and I had no one else to turn to. And I have been having a hard time moving as of late, and I am no longer able to care for my charges. You are a stranger in this land, the same as I am, and please come to my home, east of where you are, and help expel those who are trying to disturb their peaceful slumber. The dream became a little convoluted with abstract shapes and the sound of music, and everything seemed to be merging together at a single point, and at its center there was still blackness and silence, and once you reached that point you awakened. You realized that it was not an ordinary dream, and when you noticed your shape had changed, and you had come in contact with a native Sphynx, and you knew from the observer reports that there were at least 1,000 of them, and most of them live in different parts of the continent, and many were akin to the Hatilhas, and there were a few anomalies there like Canon. And after consulting the fairy guidance system, it was determined that the one in the cemetery, for indeed the Sphynx wanted you to go to the cemetery, was one of those anomalies. And you pondered on what to do for a few minutes, and since you have already been tainted by the Sphynx, you had no other choice but to dwell among the monster races of this world. Now that you begrudge this fact, the power that you have received from the Sphynx have finally given you the ability to use magic. You go in a hurry to the cemetery, and you are disappointed to be greeted by a lifeless statue. And it has been a month, and your Sphynx companion has remained silent. If it wasn't for the priest of Arasa, you too might have joined the dead out of boredom. And the dead residents too have more life than your Sphynx companion. And one ghost was strong enough to produce a revenant, and he was the sole reason why the priests were trying to enter the graveyard. And the revenant was a newcomer to this ancient children's cemetery, and his name was Badge Magus. And he had been murdered by his family members a few years ago for his fortune, and it is common practice in this world to kill mages for trivial reasons. And in order to hide their crimes, they bury him here without honor in this random cemetery that was originally just for children. And the cemetery was located in the outskirts of an abandoned village, and all of its residents have been purged by Bertham's army and buried in a marked grave a couple of miles away. And needless to say, there was not a person alive in the village except in the cemetery. There was not a soul in the village except for the cemetery. and one has to wonder why anyone would start a settlement next to a cemetery in the middle of nowhere. And you stop your internal monologue in order to address the problem of the priest, and they are performing the rites of passage over the wrong grave, and this one still has a sleeping child, and if they are not stopped, Arasa will come and take him away. You push the priest out of the cemetery using your larger body, and all the while they are screaming nonsense and chanting in your direction, and you feel yourself unfazed by their curses, for indeed you are already mortally cursed, and one more curse can't hurt, and leave the cemetery in peace, and you have nothing to gain from tormenting its sleeping denizens, as you say ominously. Demon, return to the abyss whence you came, said one of the priests, followed by more deranged chanting, and you do not have the patience for that today. I had tried to be civil with you, as I had told you before. I am no demon, I am a Sphynx and a guardian of this cemetery, and if you keep disturbing the peace, I will strike you down without mercy. You weren't the one last time. You notice that one of the priests has continued his chanting while you were not paying attention, and a strange familiar presence starts to draw near, and strange violet flowers begin to glow and bloom around you, and a few specters that become agitated, and with their fragile voices they start screaming in a language you cannot understand. And the commotion rouses the Bashmagus from his slumber, and he's usually awake tormenting his household when the priests come, and this was one of the few times he had decided to take the day off to continue his magical studies, and even in that, the Bashmagus was going through his spells, and when he had been killed, he had blown half his family fortune in his magical hobby. And you see Bashmagus rise from the ashes that surround his grave, and his solid black robes and ashen skin have an initial powdery feel to them, and with each step he seems to discharge a slight cloud of smoke, and as he awakens he becomes more solid with each step he gives, and revenants are quite interesting undead. If it wasn't for their irrational and sometimes supernatural behavior, people would imagine that they were dealing with living beings. You hear the echo of magic escaping his frosted, lifeless lips, and the priest too chant in preparation to counter his magic. And the priest of Arasa had developed all sorts of anti-magic blessings, and they could bless household items with anti-magic properties. And much to poor Bashmagus' dismay, his magic failed to produce the desired effect, and he only incinerated the children's favorite willow tree. And since he was a novice mage at best, Bashmagus was not used to fighting people with anti-magic blessings. And you say to him, instead of shooting miscellaneous blue flames, try to ignite the grass around the priest and letting the newborn flames do their nasty work. And you could also try a larger, stronger spell, and most anti-magic blessings can only wither so much magic. And this was the first time you had ever bothered to speak to the Bashmagus, and he looks at you dumbfounded, staggering towards his grave, and he screams, Arasa! And after he retreats to the safety of his coffin, you land on top of his headstone and command, It's Lamina, by the way, and if you are to hunt this cemetery, at least get to know its denizens. You stop paying attention to the Bashmagus when you see a serpent death god approaching, and you currently wonder how you would go about fighting this deity, and based on the fairy guidance system, you know that Arasa has one of the largest coasts in the continent. He also feeds his power by absorbing the power of all the dead who enter this realm. And you breathe a sigh of relief when Arasa lands 5 meters away from the cemetery, and this dark violet draconian-looking specter is only visible to your eyes, and the prisoners seem to be able to perceive their own god, though they do have enough faith to summon the beast. And Arasa has no sway in this abandoned village, and when the children saw that Arasa depart, they grew bolder, and so took to the flames and started dancing with it and making strange humanoid shapes, and also started rustling around the priest while a bunch started lightly tapping their backs and necks to confuse them. And the priest decided to call it a day since night was falling, and it was a common superstition that the forces of evil grew stronger at night. And you never quite understood why this priest considered children ghosts to be evil. Sure, there would be a bit jump scares, but other than that, they were no different than normal children. And you see the gentle sunset with the children, and a cold wind from the north brings with it light showers. And the willow trees have finally stopped burning, though now it is a mere shadow of what it used to be. And most of the spooks return to their respected graves. However, you see a spirit of a toddler linger beneath the willow tree. And you approach the shop and sit beside him while saying nothing, and the toddler spook pulls out a twig from the ground and fans it near your face. An impulse you cannot control makes you frantically try to catch catch it with your hand, and the child giggles, and now he's amused, and he quietly returns to his peaceful slumber. And this time his spirit rests beneath the burning down willow tree. And you feel anxious during the nighttime, and the night sky with its changing phases and many moons feels alien to you, and you miss the cold splendor of the giant solitary full moon that always hovered in the sky of your home. And after 2 years of living in this world, you're not used to its surroundings, and a tiny bug or something starts crawling up your hind leg, and you scratch at it frantically to get it off. And upon closer inspection, you realize that the bug was just a figment of your imagination. And you notice a larger toad jumping by your feet, and you slap him away with your forecloth, and he dances lifelessly a few meters away. After killing in your mouth and by your lower lip, and you lie down in the back of the decrepit Sphynx statue, and away from the grass and mold that surrounds you. And the following days pass on eventfully, and the priest has stopped visiting for reasons you had yet to grasp, and after giving him a thought, you realize that the Bashmago has been confined to his grave for the past few days. And you take flight and hide among the wreckage remains of the willow tree, and a few hours pass, but your patience is rewarded when the Bashmago childly manifests. And he normally would solidify in full throttle, and this time he grew solid and turned to wash a few times before staying solid anew. And instead of taking his usual route home, he scouts about the cemetery, and it is the first time he ever bothered to get his bearings. And when he sees the Sphynx statue, he naturally freaks out, and after poking it a little with a rusted knife he keeps in his sash, he becomes satisfied that the statue's not alive. And then he goes to inspect the graves and finds them empty. And you always find it amusing when a recently deceased tries to get his bearing on his surroundings, and they are usually brutish to a point and stuck on one single emotion. The last one they felt as they entered death, and in the Bashmago's case, he was consumed by an unspeakable rage at the betrayal from his family. Though frankly, if you were related to the Bashmago, you would have murdered him as well. And people can be so inconsiderate, and since the Bashmago felt himself alone, he said, "Hello? Is anyone there?" The shooter said nothing, heard nothing. Again he said, "I saw many specters like myself last night, and please do not leave me alone in my solitary grave." Again the children said nothing, and Bashmago continued to go from grave to grave, asking for a sign of life, and the hilarity of the situation makes you chuckle, and you are eventually unable to control your shrill laughter, and the Bashmago screams in terror and begins to dissipate. And before he goes, you pounce on him and bite his arm, and with your power you force him to regain a solid form. And holding him down, you say, "I am not this Arasa, my dear Bashmagos, and if you are to be our neighbor, I am compelled to inform you that I am the protector of this cemetery, and while you remain buried in this graveyard, I am your guardian." The Bashmago says between his teeth, "If you are my guardian, then why are you trying to kill me? Silly fool, you are already dead, or have you forgotten already?" You tell the Bashmago, smiling. "You can't kill somebody that's already dead." "I already know that I am dead. I am still not too keen on being taken away by Arasa. And they say that once he takes you, your spirit fades away," explained the Bashmago, sitting it up. "And you think him acting a little less paranoid when he notices that you know nothing of Arasa and his work. Your spirit is immortal, and it is the only permanent thing that all living creatures have." You bother to explain, though you secretly doubted of the veracity of both these statements, and correcting yourself, you add, "I am not here to discuss the nature of existence with a corpse, and since I belong to the living, I have other things to worry about than life after death, and once I am dead, I will be more than happy to discuss matters of gods, souls, and your Arasa." Chuckling, the Bashmagos commented, "So you are alive, aren't you then? How can you see or hear me? I hate to disappoint you, but as a ravener, everyone can see and hear you. And they can also physically harm your soul, though I do not know if they can kill it. I'm not an expert in such matters." And you commence sitting down beside the Sphynx statue. The statue was quite large in relation to your body, and you look like a cub in comparison to the Sphynx. And despite the size difference, you are still large enough to pounce on a grown man into submission. "What are you exactly?" asked the Bashmagos. You seem for a moment pondering on what answer to give the Bashmagos, and his name makes you chuckle each time you think about it. And you could tell him that you are human, but even you doubt this. And in the end, you decide to tell the Bashmagos, "I am Lamina." "What is a Lamina?" asked the Bashmagos. "Lamina is a type of algae, It is also a part of the human spinal cord, you explain. What's an algae? Is it a type of animal? And what part of the human body is the spinal cord? Asked the Bashmagos. You roll your eyes, disappointed by Bashmagos' ignorance of basic human anatomy and complete ignorance of even the simplest marine life. You hear a little voice in your head that tells you that this is a medieval world and you can expect them to know about plants and anatomy. And in order to end the conversation for good, you say, what I meant to say was that my name is Lamina. Pleasure to meet you, fair monstrosity, said Bashmagos, bowing in a gentlemanly fashion. And he was slowly beginning some semblance of humanity, and most ghosts lost themselves due to the shock of being separated from the human bodies. And you decide to form a small conversation with the Bashmago to relieve the tedium of the night and wait until it is time to go to sleep. And just out of curiosity, why have you been tormenting your family? You ask. I have, whatever do you mean? I love my family while in life. I work tirelessly to provide for all that they could desire, he said, giving a fake smile. There is no need to lie to me. You are already dead after all. You repeated to remind Bashmagos of his current state. I do not feel dead, commented the Bashmagos, touching his black rose jewelry and raven hair. Indeed, he had gone to great lengths to look like a mage, and he had the loveliest green eyes you had ever seen. So based on the previous observation, the guy had black eyes back when he was alive, and this discrepancy gave you plenty to think about. Well, you are dead, and take my word for it. In fact, you have been harassing your family for the last month by cursing them and making their animals sick, and sucking their blood while they are asleep, etc. You know the works, you explained, Johnny. And fireflies start buzzing around the cemetery, giving it quite a mysterious color to your surroundings. And this is followed by a nice, cool, humming mist. And you find the mist in the air quite welcoming, and stretching a bit you settle down on a cool, damp ground, and the Bashmago continues to question you about the meaning of life. And you answer quickly without giving much attention to your response, and at a certain point the Bashmago realizes you're not paying attention. And he returns to his grave to call it a night, and when all is silent you fall asleep to dream the dream again. Alright, that's enough for this chapter.